Wealth, yoga, wine. Welcome to my podcast. I'm Valerie Hale. A wealthy lifestyle. What does that look like? According to Morrissey, it's very simple. We have an abundance of really good health, authentic and intrinsic relationships with family and friends, spouses. We have time freedom to do whatever we want. We have financial freedom to donate, to purchase, to also do whatever we want. These four quadrants lead to a lot of success, which leads to a wealthy lifestyle. Think about your results in your life. Are you getting what you really want? What Mary says is there's a simple formula for success, and it is double your failures. What you're thinking? The reason, and this is actually 100-year-old philosophy, to double your failures. Thomas Edison had over 10,000 when he was creating electricity and his other inventions, and he says to us, failure is nothing more than feedback. When we want to succeed, we have to get uncomfortable. We have to do things that take us out of our comfort zone. It's important that we learn how to take baby steps every day that takes us closer to that big dream, that big goal, that longing and desire. When you push yourself, you're opening up avenues that are going to lead to greater success. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to every day do something that's risky, that's going to lead to failure. We're not talking about failure because you overlooked a deadline, failures because you have forgotten to do a specific presentation for a conference. No, that's stupid. Failures are learning from your mistakes. Let's look at Adele. Of course, she's highly successful. However, she has said to the media that the divorce she just went through with and had hurt her 9-year-old son was devastating for her. She tells us she feels like a failure. Yet she chose to do something that she knew would hurt herself and others and make her feel like a failure, largely because society creates that essence of failure when you divorce. She realized she was not happy, however. Now, after that divorce, look at how much weight she lost, even during the divorce. And look where she is now. That one-night performance in LA is stunning. And it's because she got out of her comfort zone. It's because she took risks. Granted, we are nothing compared to Adele. However, it's the same kind of drive that we want to increase our potential for who we really are and what we can really achieve. So many of us have let the pandemic stop us in our tracks, and we will say things in essence, I'll do this when the pandemic is over. I'll do this when I have more time. I'll do this when I have more money. Get rid of that thinking. What John Boggs, one of Mary's sons, teaches us, and he's in charge of the business development section, the way you're going to start with your big dream, your big goal, is think about what you can do with what you already have, your assets that you already have. They can work with you every day to take, within 5 minutes, take a step toward creating your dream. That can be something as simple, let's say you want a new vocation, you want a new career, you're looking for a promotion. Pick up the phone and talk to people to get their expertise, to get their advice. You don't have to tell them what your big dream is, but start getting feelers out. Do some research on the internet. One of my strengths is public speaking, and during the lockdown, both my industries and second career of owning a bed and breakfast and the wine industry, they both crashed and burned. And during the lockdown, I taught myself how to become a podcaster, but I also wanted to serve the community. Now, it took a year to teach myself, but every day I did something that would lead me closer to that. So you want to feel uncomfortable because you're reaching a new aspiration. And you want to understand that mistakes are so important to getting closer to your goal. It's okay to crash in love. It's okay to crash in a career. It's okay to crash in financial independence. The important thing is you're going to get back up on that horse. But this time, you're going to teach that horse some new tricks. In Kundalini Yoga, Guru Jagat teaches us the same way that we treat failures is going to be the same as we treat success. That's an odd philosophy. Many of us have meltdowns when we confront challenges and difficult circumstances. Mary Morrissey teaches us the way to deal with this is get rid of the hysteria, get rid of the drama. You acknowledge it's a problem and you say, well, what can I do to find good in this and move past it? What Guru Jagat teaches us is exactly the same thing. All of us have difficult situations throughout our life. Dalai Lama says there are no difficulties, they are simply opportunities. One of the things that I also love about Kundalini Yoga is my other virtual teacher, Har Prakash, teaches yoga for kids. She does this virtually. I strongly suggest that the parents out there let their kids start learning virtually Kundalini Yoga. The reason being is that you want your child to learn at a young age how to meditate, how to control their anger, how to get prosperity in their lives. And this is virtual. If those of you who are working at home need some downtime away from your child, you can have them sit in front of their iPad, your iPad, laptop, computer, and they will be engrossed in fun yoga, Kundalini Yoga. It's going to be on my podcast details. I also am beginning to focus and supporting women-owned businesses that have a connection with yoga. This doesn't have to be Kundalini Yoga, of course. Kira Grace is one of my favorite companies, women-owned. She has several resources on her website. Not only are the clothes amazingly beautiful, and she's having a pre-Black Friday sale, so definitely go online and do some Christmas shopping or holiday shopping. But she has Words for the Soul, 14 days, and they are fun, they are beautiful, they're enlightening, and they're empowering. The other aspect I really like about Kira Grace is she has classes, virtual classes on Saturdays. Again, you can go on the website and sign up for that. It's also free. The other company that's women-owned is right here where I live in Gulfport, Florida. It is called Zaya. It's named after Jill, the owner's grandchildren, but she has quite a busy time right now taking care of while she's also operating her beautiful consignment and artist gallery and clothing store. Lots of clothes for yoga. But what I really admire about Zaya and what Jill has created is that there are 45 different artists from St. Petersburg and Gulfport in her shop. One of the gentlemen who is an artist has taken old pieces of silverware that came from his former antique store and made these hanging ornaments that are really beautiful. That's something to look at when you're on her Instagram site. And the two other women who work with her are also artists of their own, Marcy and Gail. The fact that you've got all these artists right here in the shop is like going into a consignment bazaar. The clothing comes from all different areas of the world. She does shipping, so that's a good thing to know. So we're all looking into shipping nowadays, it seems like, instead of physically going to the malls, thank goodness. So it's a great place to shop year-round. What I also appreciate about Zaya is that she opened in 2019. I laugh because anyone who opened up before the pandemic went through the pandemic and experienced financial hardship in a lot of ways. I actually look for businesses that have just begun because I want to spread their name and what they are doing to improve people's worlds, their lives, because they got through the pandemic, they got through the lockdown. Lastly, wine. This is the season of mulled wine. If you're not familiar with mulled wine, it's usually a red wine, and you heat it up gently. Don't bring it to a boil. Many people create mulled wines in a crock pot. Do they still make those? Maybe an Instant Pot. I grill all the time. I don't have too many kitchen stovetop things that I use. But you can use it just in a plain saucepan. Depending on how many people, you usually use about 2 bottles. Jam jar is one of the best bottles of wine for mulled wine, basically because it's very concentrated fruit. It does have a dry finish, which is a little unusual for such a fruity wine. It comes from South Africa, Cape Classics, one of my favorite importers. Mulled wine always has, sometimes it can have ginger, but it's generally cinnamon and cloves, not too much. Has some fresh orange in it, maybe a touch of honey, and you want to use a local honey. We have a great little store right here in Gulfport called Bee Creations. They make soaps and they make candles. It's wonderful. But it's another way to support your local honey producer if you are in an area for such a thing. So the mulled wine, you gently heat it. You could also use a port. Casa Euphemia is one of the most delicious ports in the world, imported from T. Edward Wines. I also suggest that you try using the Angry Orchard's hard cider as a white mulled wine, which is a little unusual, but you can serve it chilled over ice. You would heat warm up some of the Angry Orchard in a saucepan because you don't want to keep this actually warm. I would heat it up with the spices, a little bit of orange and the cinnamon and the clove. Let it cool down and then add it to, it'll be like a punch, a white punch, but a mulled wine. Fun. In conclusion, a wealthy lifestyle is something we all really want. We all want success in all 4 quadrants of our life. And the way to start that is a very simple formula. Double your failures. That simply means that you are stretching yourself, you are increasing your potential to reach new markets. Yes, it takes work, but darn it, don't we want to get through this pandemic and be really successful? And you can. Don't let the outside world have any influence on you. We create our own economy. Kundalini Yoga, I really want to see people start teaching their children this, and it's a relief for you parents because your children are going to learn how to manage their anger. They're going to learn how to breathe correctly. No more temper tantrums. So be sure to go online and look at Hara Prakash's classes for her children. And lastly, mulled wine. This is the season. They're fun to make. Give me an email or send me a text, and I'll be happy to send you the recipes. Jam jar is probably, I think, all-time, hands down, the best. When I was a rep in New York, I drove around, did wine tastings with this crazy concoction in the back of my Subaru. Car smelled good. To wrap this up, I'm not a life coach. I'm not a consultant. I produce this podcast every Wednesday to help hundreds of people globally enhance their lives with 3 easy topics. Merci.